All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new chapter of My Hero Academia. We are on the verge of chapter 402. Now, this 402 chapter is gonna get very, very sad right now because at the moment we are in the verge where Deku fights Shigaraki. All Might's trying to keep All For One at bay, and All For One is headed towards Deku, and things are going to start going to a tragic road right now. So yeah. So let's go ahead and jump right in and see what this, how this chapter is going. So,
Video is sponsored by Sakuriko. All right, so we got the 402 spoilers, and this chapter is continuing the excitement of All Might versus All For One. But now we're also coming into Izuku versus Shigaraki, because in the previous chapter we saw Stain and All Might team up to take on All For One. And All For One did like an elaborate set of things to overcome Stain's paralyzing quirk. And it looks like he ultimately like killed Stain, I suppose, in the previous chapter, and afterwards wound up blasting All Might, taking off the rest of his armor. And eventually All Might wound up crawling towards All For One, as we saw All For One watching UA fall to the ground. As it said, he was within range to use his gloop warp, to get to Shigaraki to complete his plan, which we'll talk about shortly. Because coming into this chapter, we see Shoto and Ochako on the ground. As the cops confirm, they've both done their jobs of stopping Dabi and Toga. We see that the Twices have vanished from UA, and then Momo was fighting them with a spear in her hands and machine guns on her shoulders. So yeah, we're seeing confirmation that Shoto and Ochako are like the definitive winners here. And as for stopping Dabi and Toga, I don't know what that means other than, them winning, but like, are they alive? Are they dead? Are they in custody? Maybe we'll see in the chapter, maybe we won't. And I also like it showing us Momo for one last time, I guess, in her like ultimate form, I guess, with the spear and machine gun on her shoulders, from the assistance of her quirk, of course. Hatsume says that UA is now lighter without the Twices, and it'll be able to float again. Deku is managing to keep Shigaraki away from UA and to fight him in close quarters, but now All For One is getting closer to them. So that's mitigating one ticking clock, I suppose, with UA falling, since it can float again, with Toga's, defeat, causing the Twice clones to dissipate. But back to All For One, because his plan is to use the Gloop Warp, bring Tomura closer, and to give him the synthetic copy of the All For One quirk to finally complete the body hijack. All Might tries to taunt him, but All For One says that he'll complete his plan first. He uses the Gloop Warp, but Shigaraki refuses to go. So yeah, I like that it's like put out real plainly there.
Having health insurance is important. So if anyone
that's
in your family
always
has
ruining the
Medicaid or
fun.
SHIP, listen up.
Because that is, for sure what All For One is trying to do here. Because once he gives him the synthetic copy, they'll like merge the two copies together and have a perfect copy, and then All For One can just completely take over Shigaraki's consciousness and new body, which is capable of holding the perfect All For One. And yeah, he'll just be unstoppable at that point, I assume, because he'll also be strong enough and have like the hatred imbued in him to be able to take one for all from Izuku. So yeah, would it be good if that happened? But Shigaraki's fighting back. He's not letting the Gloop Warp take him over, because when the goo starts to come out of his mouth, he just closes it. Like, we haven't seen that defense before. That's hilarious. And he says, "You're a nuisance, Sensei." And All For One understands that Tomura's consciousness is far too strong and changes to Plan B, which consists of grabbing All Might by the leg and flying him to Deku and Shigaraki. So yeah, like we were talking about, All For One raised Shigaraki to have a consciousness this strong and hatred this strong to bypass the failsafe that One For All has on it to stop it from being taken by All For One. But now, of course, it's backfiring on him because it's too strong for his own good, because it's stopping even All For One himself. But this is All For One, and he has like 30 different plans and 40 different backup plans. So now he's grabbing All Might. Also, this is another reason why he isn't killing him immediately, since he is essentially defenseless at this point, or we're led to believe that he is, coming off of the previous chapter with most of his gear being destroyed. He's kind of just in his suit at this point. And he's flying towards Izuku and Shigaraki with All Might. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Sakuriko. Sakuriko is a monthly authentic Japanese snack subscription box. Sakuriko is also supporting local Japanese snack makers. because each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, including Japanese tea and a special Japanese tableware. It also comes with this awesome booklet that gives you information on all of the snacks in the box, as well as information about Japan and its culture. This month's box is Kyoto's Crimson Leaves. This month, Sakurako partners with the Kyoto Prefectural Government for a limited edition box designed inspired by the beauty of Kyoto's autumn season. Indulge in artisanal delicacies like Kyono Ame, Yuzu Dorayaki, and Sakurako Banana White Chocolate. All pairs excellently with Hochija tea from Kyoto. And this month's tableware item is a brocade flower dish, which is hand-painted by artisans at Bloom in Gifu Prefecture. So first I tried the tea that we get with Sakurako every month because it pairs with everything in the box. It's the Hochija Iaiman cha. This had such a great floral flavor to it. Again, that really unique Japanese flavor. Next I tried the Sakurako Original White Chocolate Fruit Banana. It looks like a freeze-dried banana, but it tastes and has the texture of chocolate with banana.
I don't like banana flavor.
This was so good. For something salty, I tried the Sansho Arare. This was also so good. It had a great soy sauce flavor, this domestic Japanese pepper. Next, I tried the Uji Koicha Boucher, and this tastes just as good as it looks. If you like matcha, you're going to love this because it has a great matcha flavor and the cream in the center. So if you'd like to get your very own artisan Japanese snack box from Sakurako every month, check out the link in the description and make sure you use my code ZONIN. That way you'll get $5 off your purchase. Thanks, guys. And he says that All Might was the one who put this chaotic dream in those kids' heads, so now he has to pay the price. Tomura teases Izuku by saying that he has to save All Might, and that in the meantime he'll go and kill everyone who's at UA, and Izuku is panting like crazy. Izuku had been forcing himself not to cry because All Might said that he had to stop being a crybaby, but he's at his limit, and All Might's vestige starts to fade, forewarning his farewell. The next page shows Deku shouting, "All Might," with tears flowing like energy from his eyes. All Might starts reminiscing. "Can I become a hero even without a quirk?" asks Deku. "Of course you can. After all, you always do your best and never give up on your dream. I've never been able to give up on mine either. My dream of being the symbol of peace." All Might then grabs All For One's neck with the arm that still has the gauntlet on it and smiles. All For One remembers Nana's last moments, the same panels from Volume 0, but doesn't quite know why. She was a pathetic woman who died in a ridiculous way, so why? Nana, in her last moments, said, "All For One, All Might is going to defeat you because Toshinori is crazier than you." Cut to the present, and All Might says, "If you die one more time, you'll rewind into a kindergartner, right?" And his gauntlet explodes. End of chapter. So that is crazy. So I assume that this is All Might's support item inspired by Bakugo, right? It's a gauntlet, it's exploding. We haven't seen Bakugo's item yet, so I guess when the next chapter opens up, he's going to give this a proper name and it'll have something to do with Bakugo. And speaking of Bakugo, you know, he's still laying out there kind of like half dead, half alive, still needing to be brought back, right? So maybe he comes back in the next chapter. That would be pretty crazy because he's still,
I hope so, because we haven't seen him in a while.
Return. And I wonder if he's going to help All Might take down All For One, or Izuku take down Shigaraki, or both. Also, another thing about All For One here is that I do think he, you know, for sure is going to be hit by this gauntlet explosion or whatever's going on. And as All Might says here, he'll be rewound to a kindergartner, and I do think that's going to happen. And that might cause a flashback to happen or something, or more exposition, or just a big reveal of how Shigaraki received decay, because that still needs to be revealed. And I hope Horikoshi doesn't decide to just skip over that and not talk about it, because the seeds have already been planted by him. Like, it's there. Like, Shigaraki, or Tenko, was definitely born quirkless, in my opinion, because his quirk manifested when he was 5. And it was, like, explicitly stated that, like, if your quirk doesn't manifest by 4 or something, or at least by 5, I don't know, then you're probably quirkless. I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that. And we also saw that in Tenko's flashback, he was randomly dropped off at his house one day by this guy in a hat. And it was definitely All For One, in my opinion, giving him the decay quirk, which, you know, caused him to massacre his family and everything. So it would kind of be a waste if that wasn't revealed. So it's possible that All For One being rewound to a kindergartner will spark that whole thing. since that's when he stole Tenko's innocence, I suppose. And that could be a parallel there, possibly. Also, brace yourself for the possible death of All Might in the next chapter, too, maybe, because, man, he is so vulnerable right now. And he is getting close to serving his purpose, right? Because in the flashback, we saw Nana saying, in her last moments, all for one, All Might is going to defeat you because Toshinori is crazier than you. So maybe All Might sacrifices himself to take down All for One, along with Shigaraki's help or something, because Shigaraki, needs to declare his independence by taking down All for One, of course. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments.
Wow. Wow. Things are really heating up, but in a very bad way, because obviously we're going to see in the next chapter the greatest hero in the whole world in anime, All Might, dying. Because like he said, he's pretty much vulnerable in this scenario because he just used an explosive gauntlet on All for One in the neck. And I don't think that does any damage for All for One because he's pretty much powerful. And without his support hands, he can't even, stand out against All for One. But, something has to happen. All for One needs to be stopped. Like, seriously. And also for Shigaraki, because he's the main thing of the scenario, of course. And if Deku reaches out and goes out of control, he'll eventually lose his power. Because that's what All for One wants from Deku and Shigaraki, so they can take his power away. But I think right now Deku just needs to focus on taking out Shigaraki and worry about All for One later. Or maybe All for One's going to probably team up with Shigaraki to take down Deku. And if that happens, then Deku's going to be pretty much powerless against him because both of them are really powerful. And I'm not sure they're going to merge. I hope not. But if they do, Deku's going to need some support. Like, really, seriously big support. Like, some backup. And I'm also looking forward to see what will happen to Bakugo because I'm really necessary if he's going to be alive or probably swing or fly to Deku as fast as he can to help him out, just like they did on the Heroes Rising movie when they took down Nine. Hopefully they'll probably do that the same way as in this next chapter. But 104.2 is pretty great, but it's getting a little tragic stuff happen. So I'm not certain what's going to happen next, but I am predicting what will happen in the end. So that's it for today, guys. There are no breaks on the next chapter, so I'm looking forward to see what happens on 403. So yeah, thanks for watching, folks.